Hello and welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I'll be your host for this evening as always. And joining me tonight is a gentleman by the name of Graeme Burrows. Now, Graeme is a lovely guy, and Graeme has been with us since pretty much the beginning. And so he is, I don't know, this is going to be called kind of just champions, because Graeme is pretty much one of our champions. He is one of the guys that supports us. He is one of the guys that is always retweeting our stuff. He's always liking our stuff. He's always listening, so we really appreciate his time. So as we approach our 100th episode, I thought I'd get him on. Simple as. So good evening, Graeme.
Good evening. I was enjoying that. I was just soaking it all in.
Is it? I don't know. I guess you're kind of waiting for me to introduce somebody else. If you're hearing our voice,
yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's I can't wait to listen to this. I know that'll be me in the car. Don't like the idea of that.
It'll be. I don't know. It'll be like being at a musical theatre show and then realising it's yourself that's on stage, and it's a case of, do you watch and do you laugh at yourself when you come across the funny bits?
Yes.
Or do you
definitely
look away and kind of cringe? But
no, definitely laugh, because yeah.
It's a delight to have you on.
No, thank you very much. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing here, to be honest, because you've had like loads of big guests and stuff on, and it's great what you're doing. Yeah.
But it's just
thank you.
It depends on what you call good guests and what you call great guests and what you call important guests, and and we've been talking kind of back and forward for a while about doing this. So as this Colin would say, tonight, Graeme, it's your night, so it's going to be the same as always, so you can join in when you see fit. But
that sounds like you're going to have a big red book and there's going to be guests and
so first you turn it up as your copy of Monopoly. Yay! When did you first meet Graeme? I guess we better do the admin part.
Mm-hmm.
For people that are listening to us for the first time, thank you very much for joining us. The reason that we do this, Graeme, is because
there's just simply not enough podcasts out there, and there's simply not enough that are done by two white men.
Especially not enough podcasts out there about board games.
Yeah, did I miss that bit out about board games?
And the second reason that we do this, it's alright, we can record this whole thing again, because I like, as you know, I like to edit.
So I'll be take 5 then.
And the other reason that we like to do this is, as you say, we like to have people on to have a chat, and I wanted to have Graeme on to have a chat, because it's always nice to find out about how somebody got involved in the hobby, what they've been playing, and kind of what they're looking forward to. So as we say, we like to have a little peek back at the past. We like to have a little kind of a little stare at the present, and then we like to kind of gaze off into the distance of the future. But do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got... Well, tell us a little bit about your history, please, Mr. Burrows.
Yeah, so I mean, board games was always something that we would go, after Christmas, you might have got a bit of money, you'd go down to the local... Well, it was actually a co-op at the time, because I actually come from Shetland. I don't know. So, and you'd go and buy a board game often, and it was something, like Game of Life, usually, those sort of things.
Yeah.
But I remember we always used to play a game called Super Cluedo Challenge. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this one before or not, but it was like a deluxe version of Cluedo.
Okay.
It was not far off an Imperial Assault sort of box style, and it had lead piping. It was all sort of lead, and it was proper components, and it took Cluedo to the next level, because you put your cards into these sort of plastic envelopes.
Yeah.
They were plastic trays that you clip together, and they had little sliders in each corner. So you'd go around the board, you would look under an object. There'd be certain things like everybody's got to rush to the statue in the garden. You'd rush to the statue, and the person who got there first would get to look under one of these tabs, and it would be a colour or a letter or a number or something, I think, if I remember.
All right.
And you had to deduce these down, because you had a list of everybody, and they would have two numbers and 2 colours against them.
Yeah.
So you had 4 identifiers for each card, person, weapon, whatever it was. And it was just a really good version of Cluedo. Cluedo's good. I don't mind Cluedo. But it was just that...
I never grabbed the rules. I never understood it.
Yeah.
It was difficult.
But it's something I've never seen before, and I've never spoken to anybody else who ever seems to have played it. I don't know if we had the only copy in existence. And
it was like a
made
Shetland
specifically for Shetland.
The shopkeeper was like sitting at night going, "Do you know, I've got an idea for a board game. What about you? Tell you what, give us that card." And they maybe cannibalised the only copy of Deluxe.
Right enough, it was published by Big Jim from the shop. So.
Jim from the shop. How much is that? Well, how much have you got left in your birthday money, young Graeme? Oh, I've got £2. When piece like that, I've got £4.87. That's just the ticket, because this is £4.86, and here you go. You can have yourself a wee fizzy cola bottle.
And 2 half-penny sweeties.
Exactly. I tell you what, you take that and 2 penny sweeties, seeing as it's Christmas. Now off you go, you wee scamp, before I clip your ear. And away you went with your box, your
board game underarm,
wrapped in brown paper with string, because you didn't want to get it wet.
Oh dear.
Yeah, welcome to We're Not Wizards.
Yeah, I can see how people go off on tangents very quickly.
I don't even generally do anything. It's not like I ask like it's like I ask like a leading question. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I go, and now after discussing kind of the roll and move argument about whether you should include it in board games, let's talk about your favourite version of macaroon bars, kind of, or any such kind of nonsense. So did you keep up with the hobby? Did Big Jim invent?
So I mean, the games he invented this one called Advanced Hero Quest that we played a bit. What else? I had Space Crusade, which I found recently at my parents', so it's now in my collection again. Hotel, the original one, with the
Waikiki with the big silver double towers, and it had Waikiki in it, and it had the Boomerang Hotel in it as well.
Yeah, and we pimped that bad boy up with micro machines instead of those little plastic cars that you used to get. So often, this sounds stupid, but often we'd have an auction for the cars before we did the game, so that I want the Lamborghini, so you'd actually pay money for it out of your hotel starting money. Yeah, but we'd have auctions just for micro machines cars anyway, but like just a fake auction where we'd all pay money. It's like we all wanted to play an auction style game, but nobody knew the rules. So we would end up, you're just buying cars, and then what's the end game here, guys? Just got a heap of cars.
Just
no money.
Just really tiny. It's not like I can use them. I could just drive them about with my finger. And there's always used to be one micro machine where the wheel, for whatever reason, got slightly bent out of shape, and nobody ever admitted as it was them that was doing it. And it always happened. And then it was like, I can't use my car anymore. It's just kind of going all over the place. It's making a big mess. And that was that. Did you play... did you ever play Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs?
No. I don't even know what that one is. The one I remember somebody else having was Key to the Kingdom.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Seemed like an overblown thing where you opened the board up at one point as well. There was like a whirlpool in it and stuff. But
yeah,
I thought it was Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs, was it?
Yeah, Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs. Google it just now. Is
this your musical interlude?
This is to allow you to go and Google Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs, Graeme.
Okay, I'll switch my keyboard back on.
No, basically it was a big game. It was a board game. And it was the first game you had 2 big plastic kind of pretty much mountains either on 2 corners of the game, except one of them had a pterodactyl nest, and the other one had like a volcano. And what you would do is you would basically play like cards. There was like a almost like an event deck. But your
Okay.
idea was to basically get all the way through past kind of like dinosaurs and the pterodactyl and steal kind of gold pieces from the Inca temple. It was very, very well imagined. There was one kind of there was a swamp in the middle that had a swamp monster that used to go around in rotation. It had little plastic figures. It had rubbish looking dinosaurs that looked like they dressed up for pantomime, because they all had. It looked like they were all wearing red lipstick, because they'd obviously tried to make them look very bloody and horrible, but they just looked like they were kind of missing out of a kind of a Scottish pantomime.
I've got that picture right here. Just as you mentioned that was the picture on eBay. It's like remember those pencil toppers you used to get that were really cheap plastic and looked like the guys out of Sesame Street that just went radio, radio, radio.
Yeah.
It's like that, but with lipstick on.
Do you imagine if you're like in the jungle and all of a sudden? Not that obviously this would happen, because unfortunately dinosaurs are extinct. But you can imagine just going about the jungle and then this thing kind of launching itself out the bushes and just having all you hear is, maybe he's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline.
VO5, get hot! As he flicks his hair.
Exactly. Look at that.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? I'm going to cause carnage but look good at the same time. The only problem was, no wonder the lipstick was really badly put on, because if you can imagine a T-Rex try to put lipstick on with those hands.
Yeah.
You'd
You'd have to just prop it somewhere and just rub his face on it.
Either that is kind of like asking other T-Rexes to put his lipstick on.
Yeah.
And if they fell out, it's like, go and put my lipstick on for me. Where are you going? I'm going hunting. It's like, oh, I can't do this because I've got really small claws. You've made the right mess of it. And then if one of the T-Rexes wasn't talking to the rest of the T-Rexes, it'd have to do its lipstick itself. So anyway,
$4.99 on eBay for a swamp monster.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. One-time swamp monster, $4.99 they're asking.
That is absolutely
They're dreaming.
ridiculous. I think the whole game was about 25 quid all in all.
Yeah.
If that, I mean, that was old money. I mean, you're talking back in the late 80s, I think, Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs. So you talk Key to the Kingdom. Did you stay with board games? Did you stay much longer in Shetland, or did you head off to the mainland?
I stayed for my formative years in Shetland.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of moved on from board games. I mean, we never really touched, I suppose, the ones that we would consider hobby board games now.
Yeah.
It tended to be the big named ones, because, to be honest, that's all that the shop up in Shetland would get. Or Jim would create, sorry. keep the illusion.
Exactly. I've got this Warhammer 39,999 if you'd like it.
But it's a paperclip, a coin, and a pepper pot, Jim.
Exactly.
What kind of army is that?
Jim, it's covered in cotton wool. Those are the orc sheep. They're coming to get you.
But so I mean, we kind of progressed on to role playing after that. So very much started playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and some AD&D and Marvel and DC, which I annoyingly sold my copy of 10 years ago, and now it's quite valuable. What else? Call of Cthulhu. So that's what we kind of did when we should have been out drinking. Was going over to a mate's house and playing those, and also Magic. We played a lot of Magic, but it was one guy who had a biscuit tin just full of cards.
Where'd you get them from? Got them from Jim up the road.
Jim, really bad writing on.
All drawn in crayon. What's that one called? That card's called Shouting. What do? You play it and you shout at somebody and tell them to go and sit in the corner. Does it work? I don't know.
So you've played it as well then? That's cool. You must have got some copies there on the mainland.
Jim's working for Asmodee. He's given up owning the shop.
Yeah, so we used to play that a lot. But we never really played it like sort of the building deck stuff. What tended to happen is the guy that owned the game, he would just create some decks and we'd play with them. And it was often a 3, 4, 5 player game of Magic. Now I don't know if that's even if you're actually supposed to do that.
I don't know.
Well, it felt weird because that's all I knew Magic to be was, you could fight against this guy or you could fight against that guy or you could kind of make alliances and fight against some other guy. But coming down, well, not coming down here, but getting back into the hobby in the last few years, seeing Magic as being a 2-player game, it's like, oh guys, you're missing out on a lot here.
Did you walk into a room when you did a first kind of Magic playing? There's 6 people kind of sitting around the table and you're like, okay, who's first?
Deal me in, boys.
Exactly. Kind of pull it. Why are you sitting all apart? Pull all the tables in together. Everybody's staring at you. Okay, so you do that. Just mix up the decks. It's fine. Everybody's staring at you in horror while you're grabbing everybody's cards off them.
I mean, it was literally, we played it like Smash Up. We would almost, you'd look through the decks, no matter how many cards were in it, and we'd play with hideously bloated decks and stuff. And I fancy being red-green. Just take the 2 decks, shuffle them together, and play it. And it was weird. I mean, it probably meant it made for some way too long games of Magic. It was, you could be 2 games a night sometimes, just simply because there was 4 players and everybody had 200 cards in their deck. But yeah.
But it's like you can play Star Realms apparently, kind of multiplayer. I've never seen that, but I've heard of that, and I've just again kind of wondered how that would work.
I think Star Realms is so tight and good as a 2-player game that, I mean, it's the same kind of feeling I got with the Kickstarter recently. I didn't back it because I thought adding more to it, I don't see that that's going to make it a better game. I think that, I mean, I only have the app, to be honest. I've got Cthulhu Realms, which is very similar to the card game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like the neatness of it, I think, to be honest.
I think all that Star Realms has done for me is to make me want to play other card games of a similar type of ilk. So I'm already coveting kind of other potential card, You saying Cthulhu Wars, I'm thinking, how quickly can I get Graeme off the call so I can go and research this?
Yeah, Cthulhu Realms.
Yeah.
I mean, it plays exactly the same. I think there's maybe a couple of other sort of bits added into it, but I prefer the art in Cthulhu Realms. It's kind of cartoony, sort of Nickelodeon style cartoon sort of art.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas I think Star Realms, dare I say it, it's generic sci-fi spaceship. I don't think that it's too fancy in the art in Star Realms.
No, I agree with you. It does feel like they've kind of given it to somebody that knows their way around Photoshop and knows their way around Microsoft Paint, and they've went, go make a spaceship kind of thing. And oh, that's kind of fine.
I mean, there's nothing wrong or offensive about the art, but it just feels a bit... it could be any picture of anything. But then again, you don't play it for the art, so...
So when did you get back into things? You mentioned obviously your 16 players of Magic, which
yeah.
when was it you started when you would say you started kind of really getting back into things?
Well, I fell away from it in sort of 18, 19, 20 when I was that age, and then probably about 3 years ago, my brother was reading Cardboard Children.
Oh, right.
The Rab Florence.
Oh, yeah. Good old Rab. I know he listens.
One that he does on Rock, Paper, Shotgun.
Yeah.
And it was coming up to my brother's birthday, and he'd sort of mentioned a game called Murder of Crows?
Yes. Okay, yeah, I've heard
just
of
a card game.
Yeah.
And he'd sort of mentioned it, so I thought, you know what, I'll get it for his birthday. So I got that, and then we sort of played that, and my son, I think he maybe would have been about 7, 8 at the time, and we were all just sort of playing it, and it's a decent little game, and it's like, oh yeah, I kind of miss this, alright, I play with my son and stuff. It makes it sound like I never spoke to him for 8 years of his life up to that point, but it was getting away from consoles, and I work in IT, so I'm staring at a screen all day and everything's virtual, whereas the actual opening of a box and everybody's sitting around a table. So the first couple of games I bought would have been about 3 or 4 years ago. We went to a local shop here in Aberdeen, Plan 9. I don't know if you've ever been up to Aberdeen or not.
Yeah, I have. It's the Granite City, and it's incredibly lovely, and the streets are very, very wide, and everybody who appears to have a reasonable amount of money about them.
Yeah. Kind of like that, except the word lovely should be grey, I think you meant to say there. But, so the first couple of games I bought was Caverna, great gateway game.
Yeah, that's right up there, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think what the other two were, but so me and Thomas, my son, we played Caverna, and I really liked it, and so did he. Actually, I think he probably beat me. He seems to beat me at everything, but and from there, it's grown from I've got 3 games to I think it must be over 80, touching 90 now, and that's just in like 3-4 years.
So you're just a bit of an amateur then, in terms of collecting board games, because
it's weird though. I probably quite shamefully say I've not played any of them as much as I probably should have. You know, when you're spending 30, 40, 50 quid on a game, you'd like to think that you would get, you know, many plays out of it, like what we did with Jim's Super Cluedo Challenge back in the day.
Good old Jim.
Good old Jim. But it's I like trying new mechanics, you know, and before I even get a game, I often, you know, I'll have read up about it usually, unless it's just an impulse buy when I'm in, you know, down at Plan 9 or something.
Yeah.
But usually I'll have read up it, and there'll be something in it that really gets me interested. Like, for example, Robinson Crusoe. I really like the idea that you could get an event card, and you could either deal with it now, or it could go into the deck, sort of thing, and it might come up later. I really like that mechanism, and I just, you know, almost fantasized about doing that, which you could do with a normal deck of cards. You could just take it off and put it back in and wait until it comes out again. But you know, it's these sort of mechanics that I like playing, and it's always the next one, and it's a horrible habit, and a bankrupting habit to have, to be honest. But
I think the issue at the moment, and it's a relatively serious issue, is that we are entering that golden age. We were entering a little past the golden age, where there are lots and lots of games appearing on the horizon, and there's quite simply getting to the point where you're having to make kind of decisions on whether or not to kind of jump in, because there appears to be at any one time there appears to be about 5 or 6 different games that I kind of like the look of, and then I forget about them, and then I remember they exist again, and then I get all excited, and then I forget about them again, because lo and behold, kind of something's come along.
Something else has come along,
Yeah, and I do, hats off to anybody that maintains a very lean collection of games, because I think it can be quite easy just to say, wow, that's kind of very, very, very good. Out of the games that you would like to play more, because we could ask favourites, and everybody comes up with it. Oh, I'd like, this one.
Yeah.
Everybody usually says about the same 5 or 6 games. Is there any games that you would like to get back to the table kind of more?
Caverna.
Okay.
What else? Imperial Assault, Pandemic Legacy, Memoir 44.
Is Memoir 44 as good as everybody says it is? Because it has become kind of like it's become like hen's teeth at the moment in terms of being able to get a hold of it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of justified it as a history lesson for my son and I. in that, I wanted it, but it was enough to make me go, yeah, this will be edutainment, or whatever you call it. But again, the thing that interested me about that was the Command and Colours system, it's called, where it's the sort of card play where you get cards and they only apply usually to 1/3 of the map, and you can do stuff, and it's supposed to simulate the fact that, orders to troops in war is difficult to, or whatever it is. I don't know if it is supposed to simulate that, but it kind of feels like that you're struggling to get everything you want to have done because you're not getting the order through from the order deck, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's good, but again, it's one of these ones where I would like just to get it played more. Like yesterday, my son wanted to play X-Wing, so we were clearing the table to get ready to play X-Wing, which is another game that it's actually his game, but it's another game that we've not played a huge amount of. We've had skirmish battles and stuff in the past, but every time we go to play it, we need to almost play the basic rules to get going again, sort of thing. And then his mate came down, and then they played X-Wing, so I was sort of like, oh, I'll go and sit in the living room then. Sort of.
You've been usurped.
I've been usurped. It's like Lego all over again.
Oh my god, Lego.
Yeah.
Has he kicked out? Is he kicked out his Lego connection?
I was kicked out years ago. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I still.
I was.
It's just a bit.
I mean, he doesn't get Lego much these days anyway, but he's always been a boy for. He'd buy a set and he would leave it on the shelf made. So there's not sort of crazy models of half this thing and that thing with a bit of this stuck on the side. But yeah, I was fired quite a few years ago.
Have you seen
Lego trade?
Have you seen the £600 Millennium Falcon?
Yes, I have.
Have you got to the point in your mind where you're trying to justify being able to get it yet?
No. I've never... I think, in all seriousness, I've never been one for buying Lego for myself. Although I really liked making it, I kind of got all that fix because Thomas used to really like Lego, so I was involved in that.
Yeah.
But it's weird. Lego's never been... Although I love Lego, it's never been one of these things where I felt the need to go and buy, and yet I feel the need constantly to go and buy a box full of cardboard, get it home, punch it all out, and then leave it on the shelf for several months without even playing it. It's like it's the purchasing thing and the opening of it and the punching. That's it. It's fine. I'm done.
I don't need to. I don't
need to play it. I can imagine what the game's like. So
I can appreciate the craftsmanship that went into these models. That you've done a fantastic job on that.
Yeah.
And yes, the artwork on there, I do like how you've managed to section off the inlay so that I can store the stuff again, because let's face it, this is going to get stored for a long time.
A long time.
It's out in the back. Which is maybe hitting Fantasy Flight. Maybe that's why they do the trench. Maybe because secretly at the back of your mind you're going, just put Armada away. And those models. Have you got Armada? I have got Armada.
Yeah, Armada.
Armada. It's the Cornwall version. It's the one down. No, it's the Somerset version.
I was going to say you could also do it the Taggart version where there's been Armada.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's terrible.
Oh dear. I might just edit that and have that at the beginning.
And have
What's that over there? It's a murder.
Armada.
I'll never win with that capital ship. And he's meant to be swarming those TIE fighters. Has anybody told him what he's meant to be doing?
Oh dear.
No. What big games you looking forward to?
The Fallout one, not the miniatures one, but the Fantasy Flight. I don't know, kind of Zia-esque sort of one, I suppose. Is it?
Yeah.
I've ordered that for my wife to give me for Christmas. So
I've sent you the link. I've put it on my Amazon.
Oh no, I've actually ordered it. There you go.
It's on my Amazon wish list. I've
ordered it and paid for it. All you need to do is wrap it and put my name on it.
You just need to give me the money, and then all I need to do is act pleasantly surprised when I open it when Santa comes down the chimney. So isn't that going to be nice?
So there's that one that I'm looking forward to, mainly because I had such a enjoyable time with Fallout 4, which will probably be controversial to people, possibly. So I enjoy playing that, and it's weird. In my head, there's over the past few years, there's always been, you could make a board game like this. Like probably everybody who listens to, there's that one great book in you. It's that one great board game sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I always kind of had an idea of sort of a survival game. I think it's from watching too many hours of DayZ and things like that on Twitch as well, where, a tile-based one where you might uncover it or, do what you want, might encounter raiders sort of thing. But I'm just not that creative to sort of think of ways to do it. I could use this dice and I could roll it and that could be the number of spaces I move. You're a genius, Graeme.
Is he just going to write that down? No. Actually, I might do 2 different types of dice and then roll and move. And one of them could be for each leg. And then as you get injured,
again.
You change the dice. And if you don't roll the same number at the same time, you fall over and you get eaten.
It seems pretty hardcore. That
there will be some. There'll be somebody out there that has taken
has this very mechanic.
It's roll and move, but it's roll and move
that's different
with a difference. It's roll and move extra.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
No, I was going to say, is there anything else that you've got? Because you've got that sorted out, but anything else that's kind of piquing your interest?
To be honest, I've not really looked that much recently, and if I'm honest with myself, I'm a bit of I judge a book by its cover.
Right.
I'll look at a book. I mean, I don't read much, unfortunately, but I'll look at a book.
You look at a lot of covers.
Yeah, just look at it. Nah, don't like that one.
That's
don't like.
crap.
But and it's the same with board games, and I've found that I've got Alchemists in my collection.
Yeah.
And that was one when I remember seeing the. Am I allowed to say Dice Tower?
Of course, yeah. No.
I saw the
old,
Dice Tower video. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Video on it and the sort of screen, the title screen, and I was like, that game looks rubbish. But it was just because I was going through, I was just watching everything. I was consuming anything about board games at that point. Yeah. So I watched it. And by the end of it, I was like, that game looks amazing. And
I do have to interrupt you and say that other towers are available.
Okay.
Terms and conditions available on request.
Yeah, so I feel like if it's not brand, I'm maybe just a sucker for advertising and corporate branding and stuff, but I need to research a game. I can't usually just impulse buy something that I don't know about. And it's probably quite rightly for a 30 quid game. You're not going to just go and buy it just because you're going to buy it, sort of thing. But.
What's your do you jump into the Kickstarter then? Are you a Kickstarter type person?
Not really, and I think that's kind of because I judge books by covers. In that, I don't really. I've only really done a few. I did Deception, Murder in Hong Kong.
Yes.
I did Secret Hitler. I don't know why I did that. I've never played it yet, actually. But I did Secret Hitler, which actually came through really nicely finished, and
yeah,
I like that. And the football game, which came a few months ago.
Which was London Board Games Company.
It was indeed, yeah.
Which was Mark, I think.
And Simon.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's Mark and Simon.
Yes. And that, and they're doing really well. Their game's going everywhere and seems to be getting kind of reviewed. They're kind of like, just trying to think, they're like Dave Newton, who did Temp Work Assassins, and he just seems to keep kind of selling more and more copies of that game, and they seem to be the same. I don't know if they're doing anything else. What's the football game like? Have you played it?
Not yet. See, now this is something that popped in my head earlier was that I used to think, how can people have a shelf of shame? You know, there's an old shelf of games that I've bought and I've never played, but I've got maybe one, two. I've got Terraforming Mars that I've not played yet.
Oh, you don't have to worry about that.
I just not bother playing that one. I've punched it and that's good enough.
I'd probably punch it out the window if I were you.
I did see that you didn't think it was very, or I did hear. I can't remember if it was on Twitter or on...
I was kind of like, it was kind of like, what's the best way to put it? It's very, very dull.
Euro. Okay.
It's good. It's machine building. I can see why people love it and like it. You know, and bring me your wrath into it, because I've had it before. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, I think one of the things that made Terraforming Mars not work for me was because the guy that owned it, I was sitting across from him and I was saying, you bought this for £65. Because he told us.
Yeah.
I paid £65 British pounds for this, he said. Yeah. And the components, and it's just a bit. Yeah. It's just a bit. Well, you would have noticed kind of punching it out.
I did, yeah. It did not go unnoticed by myself when I was doing that.
And engine building, it's really good. Don't get me wrong. And see, in terms of engine building, you can get to a point where you're kind of linking this to that, to this, to that, to the next thing. But there seems to be a point where you, rather than it becoming more difficult to reach the end, it becomes almost easier and easier, and you're almost racing to stop terraforming the planet, because you know that somebody can get...
We've over-terraformed it, Captain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You can't break the laws of physics, Captain. Look, it's getting too warm. And that was the point. There was people in the game that could say, right, I've got what I need to do. And they got an early lead. And all they then needed to do was to say, right, I'm going to heat this thing up as quickly as possible, flood it as quickly as possible. And you're like, well, there's not an awful lot you can kind of do. I think... I don't know, I kind of look back and think I was a bit overly harsh on it at the time, but compared to... Do you know what the thing was? Is I was staring at it and I was thinking, £65, and then I was thinking, Mechs vs. Minions is £65.
Yeah, no, I know.
And I've gone and done it again, haven't I? We should have like a Mechs vs. Minions bell in the show, but no, I don't know. I will probably play it an awful lot more, and then my opinion will kind of completely changing it. But no, going back to your point about not playing kind of games.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a time thing, or is it a learning thing for somebody that kind of... So to somebody that is the end user, I mean, what is stopping you from kind of playing? And what do you think? What do you think actual game designers can learn? You know, what's going to make it easier to get you getting something to the table?
It's weird. It's a bit of everything. I mean, one of the best things about a game to me is the anticipation of going to play it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's that I've got a new game, I've read the rules, I've watched, you know, a video on the rules, I've punched it all out, you know, wait to play it, and it's kind of almost nothing can live up to that expectation of what you have sometimes, of what the game's going to be like. I mean, often, I'm not saying that all games are rubbish, they don't live up to my expectations, you know.
Yeah, yes, but, you are.
You know... but it's you know, that's almost peak enjoyment sometimes. It's that anticipation of getting the game and playing it, and then often the game, you'll play it and it'll be good, and you'll play it a few more times and it's still a great game, but it's plateaued a bit from, you know, I expect it to be this good. There are the odd occasion where, let's just say it's not a game where I've bought, so therefore my expectations of it will be low. Mm-hmm. Or I won't have any, and then you go in and it's like, wow, this is fantastic. But I think with that one, you've almost got to watch, is that because you had no expectation of it before, and, you know, is that the reason why you thought it was fantastic, Graeme, sort of thing? But
yeah, and there's the mood at the time as well, and there's also who you're playing it with, and there's also, let's face it, there's the comfy doovie games. I mean,
exactly, yeah.
There is, like, for myself, it's what the kids like to play. I mean, yesterday we played Escape from Atlantis.
Brilliant game.
Which is good fun. It's very simple. Everybody can sit down and play it. I'm playing it with my eldest two. I'm feeling that the youngest is old enough to step in and probably kind of start playing as well. But everybody knows the rules and we can get going. Yeah. And then sometimes it's easier for them just to do that than to sit down and learn a couple of games. But on the other side of it, I think I mentioned quite recently in the show we did with Steve Tudor that I sat down and played Viticulture, which was nobody had played that, neither must, the kids had not playing that, and that was very, very easy to kind of pick up. It didn't require an awful lot of just give me a second while I go through the rules. It was fairly kind of straightforward.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it a case that you've got to actually start thinking about not just putting the rules out there and the mechanics out there, but also doing like an introduction on this is how you should play, this is how you should do your first couple of rounds kind of thing? Yeah,
it's weird. I think when you're going to play with other people, you've almost got to think of who you're playing with as well. Like you said, your kids. I mean, I play a lot of games, or probably the vast majority of games with my son. I've got a couple of guys that I play with through work and stuff. We do have an evening, and then the other sort of gamer group that I have is my family, like my mum and dad, who are in their 70s and make Revolution a real laugh because they can't actually remember what they're doing or who they are, so it's like an extra wild card thrown in there.
Just some kind of randomness.
Yeah, so I mean, one game that we've actually, for my family group, one game that we all like playing is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective.
Yeah.
Simply because it's everybody gets gathered around, put the map out, the newspaper, spread them out through the people, and then it's just, reading. It's kind of the old stories around a campfire almost thing. It's just you're reading, interacting, everybody's coming up with thoughts and stuff, and we're terrible at it. I think we've not solved any of the crimes so far. We're about 5 cases or 6 cases in.
You just compare. You can do the thing where you compare like what Sherlock Holmes' score is, and you get to the page and it's just Sherlock Holmes just shaking his head.
Yeah. Sherlock Holmes did this in one visit to the toilet.
Exactly. He was gazing. He was looking straight ahead.
Whilst doing his Sudoku,
exactly.
He discovered that it was this. How do you know that? Yeah.
Because he looked at...
we went to 40 places or whatever.
So. It's like... I've heard that... I've not played it myself, but I heard it's almost... Sometimes it's the kind of... The thread that they follow is almost like the one that Ted Rogers used to follow on 3-2-1.
3-2-1, yeah. Yeah.
We better explain.
It can be.
Yeah.
I think...
Yeah. But 3-2-1 was a game show, because they used to have game shows on Saturday evenings, and that didn't involve Z-list celebrities or zany members of the public. And Ted Rogers used to have this... and we might even put a link in the show notes because it was absolutely fantastic. But they used to have sketches. They actually used to have people writing funny sketches. You used to get kind of different actors involved.
For 3-2-1?
Yeah. And they used to do these like miniature kind of sketches, and then at the end of it, or little numbers and stuff, and at the end of it they would give a clue. And then they would say, you could either keep the clue or you could throw it in the bin. And then it was like the cue was like a hairbrush or something like that. And then Ted Rogers at the end used to concoct this mega story about 5 minutes long that led on, you've got a hairbrush. Now, hairbrush, you might be brushing your hair. And, of course, you might wash your hair as well, which means that you might be using some shampoo. And, of course, you can shampoo your carpet, which means, yes, you've won a Hoover. And that was... and the guys were just... You could just see the contestants standing there going... What? But we'll get that up in the show notes. But yeah,
no, it would always be Dusty Bin as well. That was the booby prize, wasn't it?
Oh, it was always fantastic. I used to get it was just I'm in a big 1980s nostalgia trip at the moment. And unfortunately, just as a follow up to the episode that we did with Steve Tudor, and I'm sorry to interrupt your chat, Graeme, but they announced today that they're no longer going to be printing the yellow pages.
Really?
Yeah, the 2018 I think the 2018 to 19 run is going to be the last one. They're fully going digital. So there you go.
Sales of Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley will plummet.
Well, the thing that did have me laughing out in the middle of the office was at the bottom of it. They had the link to the YouTube video for the J.R. Hartley advert. So I'm just like going, guys, we're not only about board games, we're topical. So there you go. But no, going back to it, I mean, is it instructions? Is it being able to get everything together? Is it, as you say, is it the people? Do board games have to think not only about the game, but do they have to think about how they make it easier for you to kind of play?
I think the easiness, the almost barrier to entry, of getting a game to the table. If it's your first time and the rule book is a good rule book or there's a video on it, not everybody can just read something and take it in or know how to play the game after reading a heap of sentences. And I think, YouTube and that and a lot of these, watch it played and all that sort of stuff is great for it because, I certainly learn more visually than I do reading or I learn by playing around, for instance, Doomtown. Have you ever played Doomtown?
No, but
card game.
Andy goes on about it all the time.
Now, I've not played it massively, but it's another one of these games I'd love to get to the table more often. But the reason for that isn't down to the rulebook. It's actually, when you start playing it, it tells you to take these 2 sealed packs of cards out. This is your deck, this is my deck. Don't shuffle them and just draw 5 cards. And then it's got a story in it which says, draw these 5 cards. You should now have this card, this card, this card, this card. And I know it's all it is that they've set the cards in a certain order so they know what it is that's going to come out. Yeah. It's like magic. It's you should have these cards so you can then use this and you do that and then draw 2 more. You should have picked what? How does it know what cards I've picked? But it's that to me was a brilliant way to show you how to play the game because it actually talks you through an entire game whilst you're playing it with these pre-built decks of cards, and then you just shuffle them after that and you carry on yourself. Things like that. But I've not actually listened to your one where you had the guy from Diced on. Mike,
yeah, that's because I keep throwing out. I throw out episodes every 3 days at the moment, so it's, I don't. It's like one of the things I ask people when they come on is it doesn't matter if you haven't listened because I know there's people still catching up from February. So
yeah, but I mean, I'm not that far away, but it's that one. I mean, that one I seen you put it out, and I went and had a look at it, and I went and had a look at it because it's Kickstarter just now, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, they say Indiegogo.
Yeah, Indiegogo. Sorry, whoops.
That's all right.
But that to me looks like another type of magic. It's like that would be great if it lives up to what it's saying it will be, and there looks to be a lot of people on board with it. But yeah, I mean, if you can get something that deals with the rules and teaches you how to play a game, then yeah.
I think it's it's the actual mechanics because that's why I like Rodney Smith's stuff.
Yeah,
I'm a fan. I'll admit it. Mm-hmm. That's why I like kind of Rado's stuff because they kind of get involved, and even the stuff Michael May. I've become a big fan. Go and watch Michael May's "Two Can Play This Game" stuff. He's really
I've watched him. Yeah.
And but they stay away from the theme and they stick right with the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
And just a case in point. I mean, I was joking with Stephen Rhodes when he was on, saying that I'm going to play the others. Now I have picked up that rule book.
Yeah.
About 4 times now, and it's really, really just what? And it's one of these things that they've tried to build the theme around the actual game. So as you're going through the rulebook, and in a lovely way, they've included kind of snippets of encounters that people have with the 7 deadly sins and that. So it's adding a lot of flavour text. See, trying to read the rules just to find out how to play the game. It just adds. I just want when I read rules for something, I want a couple of things. I want, yes, this is what you should get in the box.
Yeah.
This is how all the rules play. But I also like a kind of a quick tutorial. This is what you should kind of do and make it kind of easy to reference. The thing that I found with the others, and I've still got it's still here, still sitting there, which is to remind me to actually get out and actually set it up and probably play it. But the rule book, I think it's one of these things that I'll need. I cannot just sit down and read the rule book and then think I'll be able to play it. I think it's going to be a setup. It's going to be a playthrough by itself. I don't think you'll be able to kind of do it, which is kind of interesting. Which is why, I'm with you. The Dized app piques my interest, and I'm thinking it'll do quite well as long as they concentrate in a Rodney Smith type way of, here's the mechanics, this is how you play. My concern with it is that the guys will go, but you need to get the theme in there, and it's like, well, no, you don't need to get the theme in there. You just need to show me how to kind of play the game.
The theme should be in the board game.
Yes.
The app, you don't need. It's not Mansions of Madness here. You don't need it being the GM technically. You just want it there so you're not going to the rule book and trying to find that bit that you thought you saw regarding this bit. You just want the rules and the mechanics explained. Yeah. Again,
just as someone who is not designing games yourself, what's your view kind of like on the price of games? This seems to be something which is kind of being brought up a few times, especially on the likes of Kickstarter. Do you think it's starting to kind of become a bit excessive, the kind of prices? Has game prices on Kickstarter or any other place kind of just said, nah, I can't do this, I can't justify it?
No, it is. It's I think the problem is that obviously, BoardGames is getting bigger. There's more and more people getting involved. More and more companies making their own ones. The arrival of Kickstarter, I don't know how many years ago now, but that way of getting something to market when you're not a big publishing company, it only adds to the amount of product that's out there. And unfortunately, one game, Rising Sun, was it the Cool Mini or Not one?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd recently bought Blood Rage just before it had came out, and I played it, and I really liked Blood Rage, and it was good, and everybody enjoyed it, and I thought, that was good. And then I seen obviously Rising Sun, same people, Eric Lang and Cool Mini or Not.
Yeah.
And I was like, that looks good, and Japan's a cool theme, so I'll put in for that. And then all the stretch goals start happening, and then these really nice coins, you could get them for just another 20 quid. And it's like, okay, well, it's not come out of my bank account yet, so what do I care? So I think, I'll go for that.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple other things, like a bigger map. And then I looked at it, and I was like, I'm in for like 100 quid, if not more here.
Yeah.
And that's just nuts. I could go and buy a last generation console and get some games for that.
Or you could put the money down and you could actually buy yourself maybe a chippy, get a couple of Chinese meals, get your mates round and actually take some of the games off that you've got on the shelf. And
no, exactly. Yeah, this is the thing, and I actively just went in and then just cancelled my thing to it. And it's in the past, I'm not going to lie, I have spent, I think the most amount of money I spent was 80 quid on Zia.
Yeah.
Now Zia, I'm not too bothered with that because, to be honest, the quality is great. There's lots of miniatures in it. There's metal coins already in it. It's a game I really like. We've played it quite a lot. It's a game my son really likes. It's kind of like just Elite, the old PC game or the computer game.
Is that Zia as in XIA Zia?
Yes, yeah.
Right, okay.
And it's, so I have done that, but more and more I'm more inclined to, get a cheap game or one that's, everybody says this is a great game and it's on eBay for 15 quid or it's on Amazon for 20 quid just now. I'll get that instead, rather than going the 60 quid for a big box game that I don't actually know anything about as yet because it's not actually released. Yeah, but
we do like Zia cards. I'm just trying to check. I would just like to say that we've kind of been talking on and off to them about kind of coming on, and this is me publicly saying that yes, I'm still interested in have them coming on. Because I'm looking, theirs is the game that's another one of these games which I've looked at, and then I forget about, and then I'll come back kind of 6 months, and then I'll look at it again, and I'm kind of interested. So, if you're saying it's very, very good, then I think I'll need to take a kind of another look at it. But again, I
enjoy it, but then again, it's the one thing with reviews and all that sort of stuff. It's all very subjective at the end of the day. So
yeah,
you know.
I'm kind of glad. Well, one of the things I'm glad in the game, the kind of the board game industry, is they seem to have the majority of people still rely on written text, and they kind of stay away from the review scores, which is kind of pretty cool. Which is kind of good.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to go down the old graphics sound 9 out of 10 from C&VG Hits or something.
Your Sinclair magazine. Or
no, I was Commodore all the way.
Were you?
Yeah.
That's where we end the podcast. And then there was obviously Big Jim's computer game magazine.
Big Jim's computer shop, where you could get the Jim 3000.
And all it was is you used to hear him actually making the games, and all he used to do is get the microphone and just go do down the microphone, and then he goes, "Oh,
dear.
I don't know what's wrong, Graeme. It worked fine when I was playing it earlier on today." Jim
would just come around and do a puppet show in your living room with you holding a box with a twig out the top of it, some kind of makeshift.
It says, no, you can't just press the button. You've got to say fire, otherwise it doesn't work.
Oh dear. Big Jim's got a lot to live up to.
Well, I know. We've painted him some kind of picture. He's actually coming on next week because he is.
Is he? Good stuff.
As I say, he's now head development manager of Asmodee. So that's kind of good. You know what's coming next though? There is the question that's become a firm favourite with myself. Everybody else hates it, but you are walking down the street in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. The shambling undead are staring at you and making their way slowly towards you, and you run down an alley to which you see a fire escape. The fire exit door is slightly ajar. You sneak in, you slam the fire door behind you, you turn yourself around, run into the main room, and find yourself in the middle of one of the biggest board game shops you've ever seen in your life. It contains every conceivable board game that has ever been made. In the middle of it, there is on the floor a trolley. The trolley looks super fast, it looks super sturdy, it looks super robust. It actually looks like it's able to carry at least 3 games, including any expansions that's required. When you go on your travels, you're going to bump into either people in groups of 1s, 2s, 12s, 13s. And when you speak to them, the answer to the question of would you like to play a board game is always going to be yes. The question is, Mr. Burrows, out of all the games that are available in the Zombie Board Game Emporium, what 3 games do you take with you?
I think I would take a card game, and it would probably be Netrunner.
Okay, interesting. That's just come from nowhere. Plus all the expansions?
Is that included as just one?
Yeah, you can take it all, yeah. All the expansions, yeah. Okay.
Cool,
so,
we'll do that.
Okay, so that's your first choice. Your second choice?
I'd possibly take Small World.
Another one that you haven't mentioned at all in the show.
Yeah. No, Small World's good. I mean, my mum bought me that for my Christmas last year, and she played it and understood it. So it was,
there you go.
Yeah.
So it's no revolution then.
No.
So that's your second choice, and your third choice. See, the thing is, we had Phil Collins on this, and he took ages picking his games. So, not Phil Collins, Phil Collins from Board Game Crate. What's
Yeah.
You would have known,
He was drumming away.
He was, he was drumming away. How'd you fit in that gorilla suit? Anyway, no. And the third game.
So I've got a nice card game for 2. I've got a good game that can go from 2 to, I think it's up to 6, because there's variable map sizes with Small World.
And expansions and stuff, yep.
And I would take...
It's banging on the door, Graeme. Banging on the door.
Sherlock.
Sherlock, really?
Consulting Detective, yeah.
That's your 3.
Either that or Cthulhu Mythos, because I've only done one case out of that, so it was maybe a bit more.
Well, you got to decide. Come on.
I'll take Cthulhu Mythos to go with a sort of zombie-esque theme. So there we go.
Fantastic. This is good. So you make your way out into the wilderness.
Yeah, leave Jim's big game store.
That's what I should have called it. For goodness sake.
Yeah. Missed a trick there.
I did. It was like I don't know. It was like my last one. This is I expect you to expect you to talk, and I expect you to die. Wrecked that one up too. It's just my mind's just not with it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's been over an hour, Mr. Burrows.
Was it?
Yes.
Goodness me! And all this time, I've been staring at the same swamp monster on my screen all this time.
Really?
So there you go. Yeah, he's still up there at $4.99, one available. So I might just buy him.
Just get him, or get the T-Rexes.
The T-Rexes.
You have to get the T-Rexes.
See what they're like.
They're just so beautiful. Just so.
Oh yeah, there's 5 of them lined up in a row.
So pretty. So pretty. Pretty T-Rexes. Shame you have to.
Their lipsticks. Oh no, their lipsticks not as bad as they're all pretty bad.
It is like, as I say, it's like Andy Stewart or something like that, doing like Mother Goose. And only people in Scotland will understand that. I think it's Andy Stewart. There's always a couple of them kind of floating about. The guy that's in River City, he kind of crops up nowadays. He always plays the bad guy. Listen, thank you for coming on.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed it.
Is there anything, we do kind of like shout outs, is there anything that you would like to make people aware of that you'd like to make people aware of?
If they want to go and watch some fairly naff videos on YouTube, then they can check out my channel. There's not many up there, but...
What's it called?
BoardGraemes.
Fantastic.
It's board as in BoardGames. But there's only one Graeme, so I don't know why I called it BoardGraemes, to be honest. I'll get my son to change his name by deed poll. So, yeah.
And you're on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter, yeah. I've somehow got like 700 odd followers on Twitter. I don't know quite how that's happened, but
I think, yeah, I can see. Genuinely thank you for all the kind of the nice stuff that you do for us.
Thank you for all the hours of entertainment.
The hours. I make it up as I go along.
And we say thank you.
Don't do that. No, that's just too far. Keep it going. Keep it going.
It'll end up costing you something.
Let me bask in the glory. As I say, we'll put the links in the show notes. But go and check out Graeme's videos. Force him to make a couple more, please, because they are good.
I'll maybe just take up podcasting, because I can sit here just with a microwave. Sorry,
that's it, son. You go and start podcasting with a microwave.
Sit yourself in front of the microwave. Just hours of fun.
I know, he's just like an hour and a half of just ding. I think we're done. That was a good segue, though. Dear. If you'd like to keep an eye on what we're doing, and we advise you to make sure that you do, pierce the film at the top of the pack before you put it in, and remember to keep an eye on the actual wattage of your microwave oven, because even though normally you've got to make sure you tell the difference. You might have a 700, you might have an 800, you might have as high as a 900. If you are putting in, say, a lasagna you have to reheat, it's better to make sure that you're putting it on top of a plate so that the bottom of the dish doesn't get scalded quite badly. As you know, the microwave does cook in the middle, and the plate does help to kind of dissipate that heat throughout the entire meal itself. Other cookery tips are available on wearenotpeoplethatcooknormally.com.
This feels like one of those Charlie Says public service announcements.
And Charlie says... But you know what I mean? Charlie says, like, I wish I'd stayed in the cat category. This guy's
This kid just keeps putting me in danger.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? He's got no common sense. Owner. Do you know what I mean? He's like saying, send help. If you, oh my goodness, it's descended into chaos as we only know it would. If you like what you've heard tonight, and I have no idea why so many of you still do, there's going to be a steward's inquiry, and I'm sure somebody's going to rock up and say, you've been redirecting everybody to the wrong podcast, that's why you're getting so many people listening. Then you can follow us on Twitter, we're on We're Not Wizards. You can follow us on Facebook, we're at We're Not Wizards. You can follow us on YouTube. You go to We're Not Wizards Tabletop and you'll find us there. We might do a video because Steve Tudor challenged us to, so pay attention to that. And I've been telling...
You must.
I've been telling Graeme the details and he thinks it's rubbish, but so that means we're definitely going to do it. You can find us, if you want to email us, you can email us on magic@we'renotwizards.com or .co.uk, anything at all. If you're running a Kickstarter, you'd like to come on, just give us a shout. I think we're free in November, so anybody looking to do that, just give us a shout. We'd be happy to get people on. If you want to get us through the normal podcast places, we're on Spreaker, we're on Stitcher, we're on Acast, we're on Podcast Knife, which is worthwhile checking out. We're also on Apple Podcasts as well. And as we like to say, if you have listened along tonight and you have enjoyed what you've heard, then drop us a subscription. If you really like what you've heard, then please give us a review. Now remember, don't give us a... Graeme?
1? Sorry.
No, don't give us a 10.
Oh, sorry, 10.
Because that'll... Don't give us a 1 either. Don't give us a 1, because don't give us a 10, because that'll make us big-headed. But don't give us a 1. Yeah, because that'll make us cry. We did rehearse this in the rehearsal. Give us a 5, because that's average, and we are very average. But the gentleman who's not been average tonight is the rather wonderful, just generally all-round nice guy who I have an awful lot of time for.
Oh, stop it!
Is the fantastic Mr. Graeme Burrows.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure. It's been too long, and I'm delighted you've been on for this evening. It's been a lot of fun. There's only 2 more things to do. Mm-hmm. And the first thing is to remember that we are many things, but we're not wizards.
Nope.
Are we wizards, Graeme?
No.
Definitely not.
Wizards.
Definitely not wizards.
Jim was a wizard.
Jim was definitely a wizard.
It's a different story for another time.
That's a different story. Do you like my hat? It's okay, Jim. It's nice and pointy, with stars, eh? It can be yours for £3.74. Can I give you a postal order for that, Jim? If you must, but you've got to add 15 pence on for charges. Good old Jim. A man that never existed.
Yeah.
And the other thing is to say goodbye. So it's a goodbye from the fantastic, the wonderful, the amazing Graeme, BoardGraemes, Mr. Graeme Burrows. Say good night, Graeme.
Good night.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Because people could be listening to this at any time, I just figured out. So
good morning.
Good morning.
Good mid-morning.
Did you have a good lunch? Are you looking forward to your afternoon break? Etc, etc. And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll sixes. People are important. Everybody's important. The guys that follow you, the guys that listen to you, the guys that retweet your stuff, they're all very, very good, and they listen to you for a reason, and they're all very, very fantastic people. So genuinely, thanks again, Graeme, for everything that you have done for us, and we hope that you, if you're running your own podcast, if you're a creator, if you're a writer, if you're a designer, that you also find your champions. But until the next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.